there's a little note inside. Look at the nice pattern inside the envelope. So this is a letter. Dr. Ernest Drake, St. Leonard's Forest, Horsham, April 1904. To it may concern, Dragonology is the proper study of the dragonologist or student of dragon lore. Since the occasion when Merlin found two mighty dragons fighting each other beneath the castle of King Vortigern. Dragonology has been the study of magicians and students of the arcane sciences the world over. Knowledge of dragons has been passed down over the years of their history, their different types, the true sightings of dragons, where they might be found, how they may be tamed or slain, and how the student may learn to use them, and their various parts to his advantage. Now, I'm not going to read all of this because we've got a lot to go through. Let's pop this back, this envelope. Now, just down here we can see this is the library card of Ernest Drake, Dr. Ernest Drake, membership number 0708, valid until April 1904, access unlimited. If found, please return to 42 Wyvern Way, London, England. So that's his library card, Dr. Ernest Drake. Let's go on to the next page. Chapter 1, An Introduction to Dragonology. And here we have this beautiful illustration of a dragon. There is little visible differences between male and female dragons. Let us read a bit of the foreword. So I'm going to use my pointer. Of all the natural sciences, dragonology is perhaps the most rewarding, being at the same time one of the oldest and the least researched. Dragons have been studied since mankind's earliest days, and yet, paradoxically, they are one of the least known of the Earth's creatures. So while many scientists believe that the vast majority of the world's flora and fauna are now understood, in the little-known field of dragonology, the way lies open for exciting new discoveries. Australia we have Draco marsupialis. Then in North America we have Draco americanus tex and Draco americanus mex. And in South America, Draco americanus incognito. So here is the Pacific Ocean, the Arctic Ocean. We missed out Draco accidentalis maritimus. Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean. Now these little flaps tell us a little bit more. Iceberg, Greenland, the Lost City of Serpents, Guatemala, Castle, Dragon Lager in the German Alps. Then we have Dragon Mountain in Tibet, Hong Wai Temple in China, and Katoomba in Australia. Let's check out the next page. Chapter 2. Different species of dragon. So these are Western dragons. And this is a specimen of dragon skin. Membrane. While it is likely that all of these Western dragon species are closely related, the keen dragonologist will note a number of interesting differences between them. For example, while the rich flame of the European dragon is produced from a combustible venom, that of the Nuka does not ignite at all. Frost dragon venom, on the other hand, sprayed in a mist through Arctic air, has a dragons are for the most part seen as benevolent helpmeets to mankind. The reasons for this most likely stem from the historical interaction that mankind has had with different species of dragon. Clearly, some have been better neighbours than others. So we have the Tibetan Drago montana, thinner and redder than its counterpart, the Asian long. The Tibetan dragon is a lover of high altitudes. Its main prey is the Himalayan yeti, a large mountain ape that has been adapted to the cold conditions and a rarefied atmosphere found in the higher mountains. And then down here we have the lindworm, Draco sebentalis. Fleet of foot as a wild pony, the lindworm is most often seen at a distance, sometimes in pairs, chasing its prey of wild Bactrian camels on the huge empty steppes of the Asian interior. The Asian lung, Draco orientalis. Lung are most often found near the rivers, streams and lakes that hide their underwater lairs. Females carry their eggs with them for safety, using the lairs to store the pearls and opals they hoard away. The number of toes varies across the various subspecies. This is the Chinese lung, Draco orientalis magnus. Now here we have dragon biology and physiology. Chapter 3. Most species of dragons are reptilian and share many features of this animal type, such as egg-laying, although they also care for their young. They are unusual in that they are the only creatures who can speak with meaning apart from humans. However, not all dragons have managed this feat, and it seems likely that it is only the older, more experienced dragons who have developed this skill. So here we have the European dragon. Fanged teeth, scales, horns, large bat-like wings, thick spines, clawed talons, an arrowhead tail. Okay. And then if we just turn this over, we can see the muscle structure. Deltoid, pectoralis major, latissimus dorsi, splenius capitis, gluteus minimus, rectus abdominis, dorsal interosseous, brachioradialis. Then we have the skeletal structure. Skull, ribs, phalanges, wing bones, caudal vertebrae, tail, ilium, ischium, tibia, and fibia, femur, thigh bone, tarsal ankle bones and metatarsal foot bones, phalanges or the toe bones, ulnar radius, humerus, and scapula, shoulder blade. creatures must be released into the wild at maturity, not into the New York sewage system, as occurred in one case in 1862. So, the first stage, development of the embryo of Draco occidentalis, eggshell, amnion and yolk sac. Let's open it up. There we go. You can see the baby dragon inside. So this is the second stage where features become discernible. Chorion and embryo. In the third stage, an egg horn develops to aid the chick in chipping open the hard shell. There we can see it. Just there. Egg horn. And then at birth, the horn and tail differences become male and female chicks are in evidence. Right. Let me just place that down for a second and we can see it. So male discarded egg horn down here, and the female. There's the discarded egg horn down there. Female. Male. A dragon's nest. A dragon's nest need not be so soft, for dragon's eggs are highly resilient, but it must be warm. However, the eggs retain heat very well. Generally, a nesting mother breathes a jet of flame over her eggs every 3 or 4 hours. Lindworm and wyvern birds share nesting duty, whereas only female European dragons cover their nests. Rearing infants. Keep an adequate food supply. A 40 to 50 acre farm with a head of 300 cows should be enough of one chick. Small treats such as turkeys, dogs, cats, mules or geese may be used as rewards for all important house training, as a chick learns that setting fire to your home is not acceptable behaviour. Signs of growing maturity. There are a number of behaviours that show a chick is nearing maturity and will soon seek to leave the nest. Hoarding. The chick collects precious objects from around the house, reluctant to return them. Fire play. The chick seeks out iron and flint objects and plays by making huge showers of sparks. Language. Chicks repeat any words and phrases they hear repeatedly in a parrot-like fashion. And the natural history of dragons, dragon behaviour. Right, well, I think we shall return to this beautiful book at another time. We have creatures apart from humans who both speak and, when occasion demands, write. Particularly interesting is the Western dragon's well-known taste for riddles and language games. And here we have some dragon script. And let's see if I open that out. It tells me a bit more. dragonologist will build up his own list of essential equipment. Here is a basic list. A notebook to preserve all important records. Ideally this should have a heat-proof cover. A heat-proof pen and ink. 2B sketching pencil. A reasonably powerful magnifying glass. Special heat protective clothing. A relief map of the area that shows both flora types and geological formations. A camera, although all attempts to photograph dragons so far have been failures. Field procedure. Upon discovering signs of dragon activity, such as footprints, see left, these are the footprints of Chinese, wyvern, nuka and European. The scientific dragonologist will record precise details of the event, the location, time, date and weather conditions. This should be repeated over a number of days. Feeding and behaviour should definitely be noted, although not at such a range as to make it unpleasantly personal experience. Attempts at interaction should be included, whether they involve speech or spells. One should take care to take nothing from a dragon, as this will not only cause grave danger to the dragonologist, but may also provoke a fiery retribution to any other people who live in the surrounding area. Dangers in the field. While the dangers of suffering from bites, burns, slashes from claws, death by constriction, tail lashings, venom attacks and so forth should never be underestimated, the lesser danger of hypnosis is often ignored. The mechanism for this is little understood, but it seems to occur in a similar way to that seen when a snake hypnotizes a frog. Dragons can hypnotize large groups of individuals at one time, and the effects may last for some months, with the hypnotized person often found apparently carrying on their everyday life. The signs are easy to read. An obsession with dragons, wizards, fairies or tales of other worlds. A mad delight in fantastic illustrations and ideas. A dislike of human rules or authorities. Luckily, there is a tried and tested method that may be used as a sure remedy. A person who has been hypnotized by a dragon should be made to do a large number of complicated mathematical sums. All books on dragons, wizards or such like should be confiscated, and books on stimulating topics, politics, economic theory, the history of benzene in the manufacturing industries, etc. should be substituted. Exhortations to the person to snap out of it or to stop living in cloud cuckoo land are rarely successful. Now this little book here that's attached, it says a dragonologist's personal record book. Using the record book. This is a sample record book of the type used by field dragonologists. Note that you will need to make your own with a fireproof and probably waterproof cover. I have included some sample records. One is for my trip to the Ngoro crater in East Africa, where the sight of so many zebra, wildebeest, warthog and buffalo was quite as interesting as the dragon I saw. But I was saddened to see how many of these wild creatures are being bagged by so-called big game hunters. Another record is from my 1882 expedition to Scotland. tusks raised, making an attack too risky. Okay, this is another observation. Dragon, European. The Dornoch wyvern. Details, male. Oh no, sorry, the Dornoch worm. Details, case of dragons at face value, as they are incredibly wily. Above all, dragons who can speak seem to love riddles and word games, and traditionally any human who can outwit them in a riddle contest gain their respect. And then we've got a book of riddles and puzzles here. We'll have a look at that in a second. Flying techniques. Attempting to ride on a dragon should only be done in cases of dire need or with the dragon's express permission. With the right harness and equipment, it is possible to achieve a number of manoeuvres that are both entertaining and useful. Basically, following the natural patterns a flying dragon uses to mark out its territorial boundaries to other dragons in the vicinity. A looping manoeuvre is possible if enough speed is achieved. A happy dragon is a dragon which loops. This inverted manoeuvre takes some practice. Strong knees are required in order to avoid falling off. The dive and swoop of a hunting dragon can be useful for taking a closer look at ground features. Okay, let's have a look at the Riddles and Puzzles book. Dragons are great lovers of riddles and see them as intellectual and linguistic challenges. But remember, dragons will probably know the ancient riddles, so do not ask them the riddle of the Sphinx if you are in danger, for they will answer it too easily. An angry dragon may be pacified by a riddle challenge, accepting the outcome of the riddle contest. The old master riddlers often used to disguise their riddles as nursery rhymes, knowing that in this way they would be passed through the generations. In this pamphlet I have listed some riddles that may be of use in times of need. The rules are simple. Ask a riddle in turn unless one of you cannot answer. The challenger goes first. Perplex eyes as white as milk, lined with skin as soft as silk. Within a fountain crystal clear, a golden apple does appear. No doors are there to this stronghold, yet thieves break in and steal the gold. And the answer is an egg. Black we are and much admired, men seek for us if they're tired. We tire the horse, but comfort man. Tell me this riddle if you can. And the answer is coal. As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks and wives. How many were going to St. Ives? Let's see. 1. A hill full, a hole full, you cannot catch a bowl full. And that is fog or mist. Little Nancy Etticoat in a white petticoat and a red nose. The longer she stands, the shorter she grows. The answer is a candle. Black within and red without, with 4 corners round about. A chimney. There you go. Some riddles. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed another look at this lovely Dragonology book. This has been Kate and the Library Whispers saying I shall see you very, very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye. Hi everybody, this is Kate at the Library of Whispers, and today I have these 2 books that I wanted to show you. They're both parts of the Dragonology series, and I'll put a link into the other Dragonology books I've done already. So let's take a look. This one is called Working with Dragons, a course in Dragonology, and there's a nice illustration of a dragon, and on this side and this side you have these 2 green jewels. And then of course this book is by Ernest Drake. So let me show you a bit closer. There you go. There's the back, and it says, "Are you ready to become a dragon master?" First, Dr. Ernest Drake's Dragonology was discovered in a second-hand bookshop. Now a complete student's course in Dragonology has come to light. Join Dr. Drake in this superbly illustrated textbook as he leads you through 21 exciting lessons, complete with homework suggestions that promise to make you an undisputed expert in Dragonology. And there's a pencil attached to it here. So this is like a sort of like a folder. Can you see? So it's got this this wire connection here. So we're going to take a look at that one. Then there is this little book which is really cute. This one is called Dragonology, Bringing Up Baby Dragons, a Guide for Beginners by Ernest Drake. And links, I suppose, to the big Dragonology book. So I think let's start with bringing up baby dragons. We'll take a look through this one. So it's got the same marbling effect as this one actually. You can see it on the inside there. This is Dr. Ernest Drake. Let me see if I can show you better. And there's an area where you can put this book belongs to. You can pop your name there. So let's see, what does it say on this side? Emergency advice for calming baby dragons. Inevitably, every baby dragon occasionally exhibits restless behaviour at inappropriate moments. The following method will help calm even the most energetic chick. 1. Using any means possible. First, roll the chick over onto its back. You have already won half the battle. 2. Tickle the chick's soft underbelly until it squeals and the legs kick in the air. 3. Pat the chick's tummy quite firmly with the flat of your hand until it purrs. 4. Scratch the chick's nose. 5. In really extreme cases, loudly sing the chick's favourite dragon lullaby from page 30. So we have a contents page and we have an introduction to dragon breeding, features of different breeds, starting out, feeding and first aid, training, educational play, communication, dragon milestones, releasing a dragon into the wild, Appendix 1, dragon lullabies, Appendix 2, a dragon record book, and an afterword. There's a dragon, baby dragon, standing on a couple of books. Okay, an introduction to dragon breeding. There's a picture over here, let me show you. This says, few hobbies are quite as absorbing as hatching and raising baby dragons. There's been much talk of dragons recently, and a great deal of rummaging about in hedgerows, going on expeditions to remote mountain caves, exploring lost jungle cities, and setting off on trips to the icy wastes around the poles in search of them. At the Secret and Ancient Society of Dragonologists, this has been a cause of some anxiety, in case a dragon should fall into the hands of someone who lacked the knowledge and experience to care for it properly. Few hobbies are quite so absorbing as hatching and raising baby dragons, but there are not many that require such total care and dedication. It was with this in mind that I penned a new guide to dragon husbandry, and whether you choose to adopt an orphan dragon, chick, or hatch one from an egg, This is Draco troglodytes. There's the egg. It says a Nooker's egg may be kept warm on top of an ordinary stove. There's the dragon. It's called Weasel. And this one is a frost dragon. It is Draco accidentalis maritimus. And it's called Spitz. This is its egg. A frost dragon's egg must be kept as cold as possible. An arrangement of a fan and a block of ice can help. Then we have the Asian long dragon. Its name is Long Wei. Draco orientalis magnus. And this is its very decorative egg, a round one. Underwater breathing apparatus is required for tending long eggs. And then the wyvern, Draco africanus. There's the egg. There's the dragon. Salazar is its name. A sturdy wheelbarrow will assist considerably in moving wyvern's eggs should the need ever arise. Be very careful not to drop the egg onto your toes. Now this one is the Amphithea. Draco americanus Mex. And its name is Cusano. And Amphithea's egg has a rubbery shell and it can be bounced without harming the embryo inside. This one is the marsupial, Draco marsupialis. There's its egg with little stars on. A high degree of variation in patterning on marsupial eggs help a mother dragon to identify her clutch. Now here we have rare and exotic breeds. This is the cockatrice, which is Gallicus halitosis. There it is. There's its egg. A large tame toad will be required in order to help your baby cockatrice to hatch out properly. And this one is incredibly dangerous because of the power of its fatal breath. This is the American Draco americanus Tex. The shell of Draco americanus Tex gives off a phosphorescent glow that helps a parent locate it. It's called Leatherjaw. Then down here we have Gargoyle or Gargoyle. Draco accidentalis minimus. These extremely resilient eggs can be dropped from a tremendous height with no ill effects of any kind. acid, it will not, or by unwrapping it, if you can. It's an Easter egg. So we've got raising from the egg versus orphan adoption and preparing your home for the new arrival. Hatching from an egg. Having obtained your egg, it must be taken home as quickly as possible in order to keep it warm. Then it must be placed on a nest of live coals, which must be kept burning during the incubation period of 36 months. In the early months, it is important to turn the egg each day so that the yolk inside does not stick to the inner shell. Then you've got to be prepared. Listen for knocking, fetch a hatching tool and smash severely, and then bond with the baby. So do's and don'ts of bonding with the baby. Do refer to yourself as mummy or daddy. Place some shiny objects in the chick's new lair. Spend time with your new chick each day. House train your new chick as quickly as possible. Keep your chick fed. But don't refer to your sister as breakfast or dinner. Leave an iron and flint objects lying around. Leave your chick alone for weeks on end. Ignore bad behaviour. Deal with it as it happens. Run out of food. And there's Dr. Drake's Dragon Teether. It's a pacifier, or a dummy as we say in the UK. And this is a bag of Dr. Drake's Night Bites Dragon Treats. Then we've got feeding and first aid. These are two recipes. Frost dragon recipe, polar bear pie, and a marsupial recipe is koala cobbler. The importance of physical exercise. Make sure the chick knows what it is supposed to fetch. Training. Dragons are not particularly easy to train, nor is it recommended to train them excessively, given that they must be released back into the wild as soon as they are old enough. However, there are a few things that can be done to make living with your new chick a great deal easier, particularly as regards house training. Dragon training tips. Dragon mess. Adult dragons do not make a mess in their own lairs, but chicks need to develop control. Until they do, cover the whole floor with a good 2 feet of paper to soak up the mess. That's not very pleasant, is it? Fire breathing, leaping up and roaring. a soft backside. Then at the back there's an Appendix 1, Dragon Lullabies. Let's read a couple of these, if I can see them. Hush, little wyvern. Hush, little wyvern. Don't say a word. Mama's gonna find you an elephant herd. If those elephants are eaten by spring, Mama's gonna find you a diamond ring. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Could I fetch you if I dared, and bring you back to swell my herd? Wee Willie Wyvern flies through the town, puffing and puffing. He's going to burn it down, scratching at the window, clawing at the lock. Are the children in their beds? They're going to get a shock. And then there's a dragon record book. Every dragonologist loves to record those extra special comments in their chick's life for posterity. Below you can see a sample of such a record. On the next page there is a blank version that you may copy to use yourself. So there's the name of the dragon, dragon type, age, weight at birth, length of birth, favourite food, favourite toy, first steps, first sign of hoarding behaviour, first words and first flame, and then some other notes. Oh, and then there's the picture, of course. And then that's the blank bit that you can fill in for yourself. Then on the back, afterward, remember that the study of dragons, always with a view to their conservation and protection, can be the start of a lifetime of scientific adventures. If you need more information, I suggest you read my other books, Dragonology and Working with Dragons, which are both available to members of the Secret and Ancient Society of Dragonologists. Ernest Drake. And then there's a little envelope right at the back. There wasn't one at the beginning, was there? No. Let's have a look and see what's inside here. There's 2 eggs, the claw, the bone, and the tablet with the dragon on it. There we go. So that is the Dragonology Bringing Up Baby Dragons, a guide for beginners. That's a really sweet little book. Now I was going to show you the other book, but I think we might have run out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this book in another video, working with dragons, of course, in Dragonology, because there's quite a lot to it. I think they look like stickers. So thank you for joining me. This has been Kate at the Library of Whispers saying I shall see you very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye. Hello everybody. This is Kate at the Library of Whispers, and today we're going to have a look at this. It's a folder, and it's from the Dragonology series. It's called A Field Guide to Dragons. It's got 2 nice green jewels, and that's the side. It's by Dr. dragons so far uncovered by a handful of brave dragonological pioneers. Ernest Drake, St. Leonard's Forest, 1898. So this page is about migration and habits. Short of tying a reluctant princess to a rock near a dragon's cave and hiding nearby, there are two chief methods of dragon spotting. The first is to scour the habitat where one supposes a particular species of dragon to dwell, searching for tracks and other telltale signs of dragon activity. The second is to look out for dragons passing high overhead during their seasonal migration. Choosing a habitat. If charity begins at home, there is no reason why the diligent search for dragons cannot begin there too, provided the student has access to a local area of woodland or wilderness. A start can be made almost immediately. In the notes accompanying each of the dragons described in this book, the student will find clear guidance as to which kind of dragon may be encountered in which habitats: forests, mountains, sea cliffs, deserts, savanna, jungles, and even the icy wastes of the polar regions all provide rich possibilities in the search for these rare creatures. Initial precautions. Having decided upon which dragon is most likely to be encountered, a scientific dragonologist would do well to research two elements that could prove vital to his or her well-being. The first element is the food the dragon eats. For example, a nooker may eat a stray child if it is hungry. Oops. If you are a child, it is clearly wise to take at least one adult on a nooker expedition so that you do not appear to be stray. The second element is the type of attack the dragon will use should you upset it. It is no use hiding under a flame-proof cloak to ward off the boxing blows of an enraged marsupial. Likewise, wildly blowing a dragon whistle to call for help against a swarm of snapping dwarf dragons is likely only to bring more dwarf dragons upon you. Further preparation. Armed with a reasonable idea of the dangers that may be encountered in the field, the dragonologist is almost ready to set out. His or her success, however, will still depend on a complete understanding of the species sought. All details about the dragon should be committed to memory, and the physical form of the dragon studied closely. Any help in the form of reliable illustrations or models, particularly those that accompany this book, should be used. Only in this way can the dragonologist be sure of a true, positive identification of each and every species he or she meets. Migrating dragons. The migration of frost dragons provides a good opportunity for dragon spotting, since, at certain times of year, they can be seen with the naked eye flying overhead on their route from one pole to the other. Look for them in spring or autumn, in the early morning or at dusk. Juveniles fly in group formations. Being less adept at hunting than adults, they attack in packs. Any frost dragon sightings should be reported to the SASD, the Secret and Ancient Society of Dragonologists, to help build on our knowledge of these creatures. How they manage to fly thousands of miles to the same place each year remains a complete mystery. Whilst adult frost dragons undertake their 22,000-mile journey from the Arctic and back solitary affair, juveniles often flock together to make the 2-month migration as a group. Only the most organised fly in a consistent V formation, W, S, X or even O arrangement have also been cited. Equipment and fieldwork. Now we've got a couple of little flaps here. Let's have a look at this one. This is a tracking journal. So you can write down the name of the dragon, the date you saw it, the place, the age and the size, and then some other notes. This is a tracking stick. Follow even faint tracks by using a tracking stick. Mark the stick as shown in the diagram. Using existing tracks to determine the dragon's stride and footprint size, place the last visible footprint between points A and B. Unless the dragon has taken wing, the next footprint must logically fall within the arc marked by the end of the stick. Rotate the stick, paying attention to even the most minute signs of the next footprint. So A to B is the size of the footprint, B to C is the size of the stride, and A to C is the size of step interval. A tracking stick like this can also be used to follow other kinds of animal. So, equipment and fieldwork. Briefly, 2 types of equipment are required for serious fieldwork: equipment used for tracking dragons and equipment used when dragons have been found. The student should also take suitable clothes and provisions. There being no space to cover this information in detail here, keen students are directed to seek out a book that outlines the basic principles of exploration and read it from cover to cover before starting out. Tracking equipment. All that is needed to start tracking dragons are your eyes and ears. With these you can search for tracks and other signs of dragon activity and listen out for angry roars or the beating of enormous leathery wings. Useful additional equipment is listed below. Noting on a map details such as the position of tracks, scout or other signs assists in building up a picture of a particular dragon's range and helps to locate its lair. Other useful items include a tracking stick in order to follow tracks, and some plaster of Paris in order to take impressions of footprints. Equipment for encounters. Equipment for dragon encounters varies according to the dragon sort, but can include the following: a riddle book, a flame-away hat, a heat-proof cloak, a dragon costume, some jewellery or other treasure, a quantity of fresh meat, boxing gloves, running shoes, or a book of mathematical sums as protection against hypnosis. Signs of dragon activity. Claw marks on the ground or on rocks or trees. Abandoned villages, probably destroyed by enraged dragons. Inexplicable mounds of charred skulls and bones. Evidence of abundant scorching. Tail swishing marks. Items of necessity. A dragonological record book with a heat-proof cover. A field guide to dragons, such as this one. A large-scale topographical map of the area being searched. A compass and pair of binoculars. a spade and bag to collect samples of dragon scat. Optional equipment, a dragon whistle in order to attract dragons, a dragon horn which makes a roar like an angry dragon in order to scare away dragons should they get too close, scat from a female dragon to attract males, or a freshly roasted chicken or other tasty morsel to act as bait. Aerial encounters. In order to encourage dragons to come out of hiding, it may be worth building a glider. Now there's a picture of a glider down here, which basically looks like a sort of wooden dragon with wings, and there's somebody riding on the bottom of it. Hauled to a mountain top and launched, such a contraption may well so intrigue dragons that they fly up to meet you. But take care, you will need much practice to manage the diving and looping manoeuvres that a friendly dragon makes to show that it is not an angry rival about to launch a fiery attack. Then down here we have another little flap. This is the Essential Dragon Identification Pocket Guide. So this is Ernest Drake. Dr. Ernest Drake says, know your dragons. Remember, a dragon's life or your own may depend on your familiarity with this essential chart, which shows silhouettes of the different dragon species. So let me show you a bit closer. There we go. So the silhouettes of lots of different kinds of dragons: European, dwarf, lindworm, basilisk, wyvern, Chinese, nuka, Korean, Tasmanian. And then this is a description of dragon scat, i.e. dragon dung. It's another useful sign that dragonologists should look for in their quest to track dragons. Remember, warm or hot scat, ooh, is likely to indicate that the dragon is still nearby. The most easily identified types of scat are included here. Well, okay, so let's have a look at the next page. Since dragon bones decompose at an alarming rate, dragonologists have to content themselves with the odd fossilised tooth or claw to give them an insight into the dragons that may have populated our prehistoric past. Very rarely more complete skeletons are uncovered, thanks to their being preserved in the frozen snows of high mountain ranges or the icy wastes of the poles. However, these usually belong to more recent species that have disappeared only within the last 100 years. The sight of Mega Dracosaurus, the largest dragon ever known, may give some people cause to feel thankful that not all prehistoric dragon species, or proto-dragons as they are known, survived the calamity that destroyed the dinosaurs. This terrifying beast, standing twice as tall as the tallest trees and with an appetite to match, would certainly have posed a threat even to a creature like Dragonodon, believed to be the sprightly if theoretical ancestor of modern dragons. So this chapter is Dragon Evolution, Extinct Dragons. Any book on dragon species, if it wishes to make a claim to some degree of completeness must start with a general description of the mighty dragons of the prehistoric and recent past. The study of such dragons, particularly those recently extinct, underscores the increasing rarity of the awesome, if occasionally bloodthirsty creatures that still remain on Earth, reminding us of our duty to conserve and protect them as best we can. Okay, so I am going to continue with this in another video, and we can start reading about the classification of dragon species too. And as I say, I will do a video where we actually make up some of these dragon models. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Kate at the Library of Whispers saying, I shall see you very, very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye. Hello everybody. This is Kate at the Library of Whispers. Now it's coffee time, and I thought this might be a nice opportunity for us to take a look at these 4 little books. Now these are called Pocket Adventures, Dr. Ernest Drake's Dragonology, and they're connected with his beautiful book that we've already taken a little look at, his Dragonology book. So we're going to move this out of the way for now and have a look at these. So they're in this box. It says your fate awaits you. Pocket-sized adventure where you choose what happens next. And they are in purple, red, green and yellow. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Iceland worm. Frost dragon eggs. The outer shell of a frost dragon's eggs must always be kept at a mean temperature of only 15 degrees Fahrenheit. This is easily achieved during the Arctic night. During the day, the mother dragon assists nature with her powerful frosty blast. Special equipment list. Here is the country of Iceland, Arctic Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. There's Reykjavik, the capital. So it says, welcome to Dr. Drake's Iceland Worm Adventure. You are a member of the secret and ancient society of dragonologists. You have learned much about dragons, but you have yet to prove yourself in the field. But at last the time comes when you receive a special dragonological mission from Dr. Drake. And here is that dragonological mission. It says, the 18th of June, 1879, location, Iceland. Mission, a rogue frost dragon, known as the Iceland worm, is devastating Iceland and blasting everyone in its path. Investigate at once and take all necessary action. Very good. Let's have a cup of coffee before we start. Taking up Dr. Drake's challenge, you travel by train to Grangemouth in Scotland and board the Danish paddle steamer Octorus, which travels regularly to the Icelandic capital Reykjavik during the summer months. The sea is calm and the journey relatively uneventful, so you spend the time whale spotting. You see a Sai whale, several minke whales and 3 killer whales. As you finally approach the coast of Iceland, you spot another huge creature in the sea. But this one is not a whale. It is a huge sea serpent, hundreds of feet long, with a gigantic head that rears up out of the water and makes a beeline for the Octorus. It throws its huge coils right the way around the ship. There you can see in the picture. And looks down on it. It is going to attack. It is time to make your first decision. Do you A. Try to speak to the serpent? If so, go to 6. secret and ancient society of dragonologists. Dragonological mission. Date 13th of September 1900. Location Bogota, Colombia. Mission. A savage serpent has been disturbed by treasure hunters living in its lake home. In order to find and return the stolen treasure, you will need to find the lost Chipawa city of Manos and seek the assistance of the Dragon Guardian. Coffee time. First, okay. When you arrive in Bogota, high in the Andes, Senor Hada, the Colombian representative of the SASD, shows you a picture in the museum. That, amigo, is El Dorado, the Gilded One, he explains. He was a great king. Every year his servants would blow gold dust over him, and he would dive into Lake Guatavita in order to befriend the serpent there. It is said that he lived in a city full of gold, called Manoa. That city has been lost for a long time, but now you must find it, so you can return the stolen treasure. It is time for you to make a decision. Do you A. Begin at the treasure hunter's camp? B. Begin at Lake Guatavita? Okay, where should we go? I'm going to begin at the treasure hunter's camp, so we need to go to 7. Okay, Lake Guatavita is not far from Bogota, and the treasure hunter's camp is near the lake. When you arrive, you are met by a tall man who asks you your business. Do you A. Say you are a tourist and leave? B. Warn him that he is in great danger because of the artifacts his team have taken? Let's go to B. 24. The man laughs and shows you the artifacts. You say, they are cursed, senor. He says, I do not think so. But you think so. Seeing your chance, you grab the artifacts and start to run, but it is not good. The tall man must be an athlete. He catches up with you on a cliff overlooking the lake, and with a push, throws you to your doom. Oh no. I'm not having a very good time with these adventures, am I? Let's go to the next one. Let's see if we can get a bit further with this one. So this is the Dragon Dance. Bev Stubbies, Backerberg, Bushat, going after marsupial. Don't let old Hoppy give you the runaround. Diamonds are a dragon's best mate, and they keep the flies away too. The Bushat. LSD agent and use a dragon charm to take Hoppy safely back to her Blue Mountain home. Sorry, I am having some problems reading that, it's quite small. If you'd noticed, let's have some more coffee. Okay, was found in a gravel pit near the town of Clogenfurt and was originally thought to be that of a local dragon or lindworm. Europe, 1877. It's where I live, in real life. You are a keen member of the secret and ancient society of dragonologists. Learning about dragons is your passion, and you particularly enjoy fieldwork, so you are very pleased to receive another special dragonological mission from Dr. Ernest Drake. The date is the 1st of June, 1880. Location, England, Austrian Empire. And the mission is: dog dragonologists are searching for the dragon star. A powerful gem said to have been taken to Prague by the Elizabethan dragonologist Dr. D. You must locate the gem before they do. Okay, let's see how well I can do. Not so well, as we have seen. Dr. D used to live in Mortlake, a village near London. You decide to start looking for clues there. But when you arrive, you find that D's house was knocked down years ago. It is now a building site. The foreman tells you that his men have unearthed some unusual things from a strange underground room, which they sold to a local antique dealer. The dealer shows you the items. He will take 10 guineas each for them. One is a very old book marked private. The other is a sealed casket with 3 pictures engraved on it. There's a cat boring at a very similar looking casket, a mechanical lizard thing coming out, and a cat running for its life. You only have 12 guineas. You must make a decision. Do you A. Buy the book marked private, or B. Buy the sealed iron casket? Perhaps the dragon star is inside. Let's buy the book. Go to 30. As soon as you open the book, you see there is a whole chapter on the dragon star, but the vital clue is in code. Luckily, you know the code. It is the same one used by Mary, Queen of Scots, during the Babington plot. There it is. It is time for a trip across Europe. Do you A. decide to visit towards the river. There is no escape. Soon you find yourself hoisted up and thrown headlong into the Danube. You pull yourself out on the other bank. Do you A. return to London to fetch a dragon whistle, then head straight to Cloganfurt, or go to your hotel to dry off? Let's go to the hotel. 36. Back at the hotel, the concierge explains that strange noises have been heard coming from behind a fireplace in the tower of the Faust House. Even though the building has been rebuilt since Dee's time, it still makes some locals jumpy, especially since two dragon experts started to take a very keen interest in it. Go to 9. Okay, don't get a choice that time. Here we go. You arrive at the Faust House, but it seems to be locked up. There's a sign on the door which says, "Open 10 until 4. Your watch says 4:15. Luckily, you look like a pretty ordinary tourist, and so the guard reluctantly allows you in. There have been some very strange noises coming from the tower room, he explains. You look quite interested as he points the way to the room. Go to 3. In the tower room, it does not take very long to find a fireplace with alphabetical letters on it. Quickly you search it until you find a brick that has a tiny D in one corner. But just as you are about to press the brick, you hear voices coming from the other side of the wall. Do you A. press the brick anyway? B. decide to look around some more? Oh, let's go. Press the brick. 11. I think I seem to be doing better in this one. The fireplace swings open to reveal an ancient laboratory. 2 people upon Dragonology series, and it's by Dougald A. Steer. I've got this lovely wick candle over here, which smells divine. Now, as I say, this is part of the Dragonology series, and I got this in a charity shop. It's the Dragonology Chronicles, and it is for younger people. It's even been autographed by the author to Nathan, whoever Nathan is. And I think there are some illustrations as well. So it is designed for younger people, but I thought you would enjoy it anyway. So I've got the contents. Looks like there are 14 chapters. Some really nice illustrations. List of illustrations. Then it starts with a Dragonology map of the British Isles. Let's take a look. So it says, note to reader, this map of the British Isles shows some of the locations visited by Dr. Ernest Drake and his two dragonological apprentices, Daniel and Beatrice Cook, during the course of this adventure. Apart from the locations of the lairs of these dragons that are visited during the story, and which must perforce be revealed, it contains no other information as to sites where dragons may be found, so as to minimise contact between these creatures and humans who have not undergone training by the secret and ancient Society of Dragonologists. It is requested that, should any reader discover evidence of a dragon's lair or any other signs of dragon activity, they take great care and only investigate further with the help of one of Dr. Drake's books on the subject. So we've got Ireland, here is Dublin, Scotland, England, and Wales. So let's see some of the places. We have Glasgow, here, Edinburgh, Inverness, York, Cardiff, Sheffield, London, Bodmin, and Portsmouth. coming for one of the little. Rooms above the shop did he crack his whip and send the carriage speeding off down the narrow street and into St. Martin's Lane. A man of about 60, with a large walrus moustache and an old-fashioned nightcap, opened one of the windows and put his head out, just catching sight of the rear end of the carriage rounding the corner. The man looked at where it had disappeared for a moment and then, hearing thumping noises from the street below, looked down to see the crate that had been left so unceremoniously on his doorstep. It was shaking violently and thin jets of smoke issued from several holes in one of its sides. Meanwhile, the black brougham set off into Whitehall and turned into a street of government buildings, stopping in front of a black door. A tall man whose features were mostly hidden by a high collared coat and a top hat climbed out of the carriage and, after checking that there was no one about, rapped on the door with a dragon-headed cane. When there was no answer, he rapped again more loudly. There was still no answer, so he rapped a third time, at which a butler finally opened the door and, raising his eyebrows at the appearance of the visitor, said, "Yes." "I come in the name of Ebenezer Crook," hissed the man. "My mission is urgent. I must speak to your master immediately." "I am afraid the minister is in bed," said the butler. "This is an emergency," said the man. "Please inform him right away." "Inform him of what?" "Ah," said the man, twisting his cane irritably. "I fear I must tell him that myself. Mention Mr. Crook's name to him the minute he wakes. I'm sure he will see me right away." The butler shook his head and then disappeared inside. He quickly returned. "The minister will see you at once, sir," he said. As he ushered the man into the building, the butler glanced over at the brougham. Inside, looking out at him with two jet-black eyes, her pale white skin framed by black hair, sat the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Chapter 1. Wife and Way. The scientific study of dragonology requires intelligence and courage above all else, as young dragonologists find out soon enough. That's a quote from Dr. Drake's Dragon Diary, January 1842. In July of 1882, I was 12 years old and had never heard of Dr. Ernest Drake. I had certainly never met a dragon. In fact, the whole idea of fire-breathing, scaly monsters that could blast me with flame or tear me limb from limb couldn't have been further from my mind as I rode on a train through London. I was on my way to Waterloo Station to meet my parents. They were returning from India to spend the summer holidays with my sister, Beatrice, and me. I hadn't seen them in 4 years, and I was thinking about their last visit. I remembered how excited I'd felt as they came striding down the gangplank of their ship, wearing big smiles, bringing us presents and talking of mountains and maharajas and elephant rides into the jungle. I was sure this summer was going to be even better. 4 years is a long time to wait before seeing your parents, but now the waiting was over. She was holding a letter and biting her lip. "Hello, Daniel," she said, giving me a weak smile. "What's in the letter?" I asked. Beatrice looked at the floor while she handed it to me. It was in my mother's handwriting. "It arrived this morning," she said. I took it and read. "My dearest Beatrice and Daniel, I hope this letter finds you both well. As you know, Father and I had such high hopes of being able to return to see you this summer, but something terribly important has come up, and the Prince of Jaisalmer, the Maharaj himself, has made an urgent request for us to stay. You will know how important it is because we love you both so dearly, and I feel desperate that I will miss another summer of your growing up." "Your father suggested that you might like to stay with Uncle Algernon, but we have talked things over and decided that it is time for you to get to know our old friend, Dr. Ernest Drake. He has a house in Sussex and a little shop in London that he keeps as a sort of hobby. I have asked him to meet you at Waterloo if he can. If for any reason he is not there to meet you, you can find his shop quite easily by going to Trafalgar Square and walking up St. Martin's Lane until you see a street called Wyvern Way. You can't miss the shop because there is a large sign with his name on it hanging above the door. I must go now because they have asked us to go and see the Maharaja at once. With our dearest, fondest wishes, Mother." By the time I finished the letter, I felt my face burning. I handed it back to Beatrice, who was still looking at the floor, making little fists with her hands. This was the second summer that our parents had failed to meet us at short notice. The year before, there had been another mysterious emergency that had seen us packed off to Uncle Algernon's. Life there had been so monotonous that I had been almost glad to get back to boarding school. "Who's Dr. Drake?" I asked. "Don't you remember him?" said Beatrice. "He came to visit us when Father was ill. He has an enormous moustache that gets soup in it. All he ever talks about is dragons. Uncle Algernon told me that he has dangerous ideas and that we shouldn't listen to people like him if we want to grow up to be intelligent members of society." I didn't remember clearly. I had a vague impression of a jolly man with a big moustache coming to stay with us when I was 5. I remembered pretending to be an iguanodon and chasing him round the garden while he laughed, but I had no idea his name was Drake. "Is he a real doctor?" I asked. "No," said Beatrice. "I think he's a dragonologist or something, but I'm sure he got Father the job in India. I hate him." "At least he sounds better than Uncle Algernon," I said. We looked around the station. There were lots of porters carrying luggage and people hurrying to catch trains, but no men with enormous moustaches, apart from a couple of guards. "You see," said Beatrice, after we had been waiting for an hour, "he hasn't even bothered to turn up and meet us. I expect he's too busy with his dragons." "Does he really surroundings grew shabbier the farther we went. In Trafalgar Square, everyone had been bustling about on some important business, but here people seemed to have nothing to do but to loiter about. Even though it was raining, they stood propped against lampposts or lurked in the doorways of the pubs, with dark, dirty windows that lined the street on either side. In between the pubs were pawnbrokers' shops, dingy grocers' shops and eateries, and in between those quite a few bird and rabbit fanciers' shops. "Are you sure we're going the right way?" whispered Beatrice, walking so closely beside me that our suitcases bumped together. "The sign definitely said St. Martin's Lane," I said. "Well, it's a funny place for a shop if you ask me," said Beatrice. Suddenly, a woman in a tattered dress lunged towards us from one of the pub doorways. She was holding out a bunch of heather. "Buy some lucky heather, my love," said the woman, as she reached over to place a bunch in Beatrice's pocket. Beatrice managed to dodge her, then stiffened and walked on, but the woman stepped round in front of us, barring our way. "You're a pretty thing," she said, this time placing the heather in the hand of Beatrice's straw hat with a skilled hand. At that, Beatrice stepped in front of me, looked the woman in the eye and said, "I don't want any heather, thank you." Then she took the heather out of her hat and held it out to the woman, who withdrew her hand immediately. Beatrice let the heather fall to the ground and grabbed my arm. "Come on," she said, and we began walking away at a half-trot. "You'll pay for that," the woman called after us. I looked back, emboldened by my sister's courage. "We haven't got any money," I said. "We'll see about that," shouted the woman. She turned to a group of rough-looking boys of about our age who had been playing marbles, but who were now standing watching us. "Vincent, Michael, Oliver, there's a thief for you. She says she hasn't got any money. If it's true, there'll be a shilling for you if you can take that hat from her and give that brat with her a nice shiner." At that, both Beatrice and I started running, but the three boys, who weren't carrying luggage as we were, quickly caught up with us and surrounded us in a shop doorway. Beatrice stood in front of me again and looked at them defiantly. Across the damp street, in the doorway of yet another pub, I noticed a well-dressed man watching us with some interest. He had a top hat, his collar was piled up high, and he was carrying some sort of cane with a strangely carved top. "Help us," Beatrice cried to him. But instead of helping, the man simply ducked back, further into the shadow of the doorway. "He's got to have his shiner," said the largest boy, rolling up his right shirt sleeve and pointing at me. "Come and give it to him then," said Beatrice, standing aside a little. I was horrified. But as soon as the boy reached in to grab me, Beatrice got hold of his ear and gave it a tug so hard that he yelped. I was amazed. It seemed to knock all of the stuffing out of him at once. "Go away," said Beatrice. "Ow," he howled. "All right, we were only messing about. I wasn't really going to hit him. It was a joke. Let me go." Beatrice let him go with a shove, then turned to the other boys. "Are you going to give my brother a shiner?" But the other boys were disappearing up the road as fast as they could. My sister really is quite remarkable at times. I suddenly remembered the mysterious man. I looked over at the pub doorway, but he was gone. Then we turned the small, dingy shop